Hello students, welcome back to chemistry class. Today let us continue the lesson carbon and its compounds. In the previous class we have learned the chemical properties of carbon compounds. Among the chemical properties we have learned four properties like combustion, oxidation, addition reaction and substitution reaction. Today in this lesson we are going to learn some important carbon compounds, ethanol and ethanoic acid. Among these two important carbon compounds, today we are going to learn ethanol in detail. Let us see the properties of ethanol. Ethanol is a liquid at room temperature. Its physical state is liquid state. It is a commonly called alcohol and is an active ingredient of all alcoholic drinks. We have learnt already one class of organic compounds called alcohols. In that a few members also we are familiar. What are they? Which are they? Methanol, ethanol, propanol, butanol, pentanol, etc. Among these, commonly what we are calling alcohol, that is nothing but the ethanol. So this is a good solvent. Because of this reason, it is used in medicines like tincture iodine. You might have familiar with this tincture iodine. When we get hurt, on the wound we'll apply one brown colored solution, that is the tincture iodine. And it is also used in cough syrups and many tonics. What is tonic? When you will not feel hungry or lack of appetite, the doctors will suggest tonics. Ethanol is also soluble in water in all proportions. Consumption of small quantities of dilute ethanol causes drunkenness. Even though this practice is condemned, it is a socially widespread practice. However, intake of even small quantity of pure ethanol called absolute alcohol can be lethal. Also, long-term consumption of alcohol leads to many health problems. So this ethanol and water will mix with in all proportions. That means 90% ethanol and 10% water, or 50% ethanol and 50% water, or 90% water and 10% ethanol. In any proportion it will mix. So this consumption of small quantities in dilute ethanol, that also dilute ethanol means ethanol mixed with water, that causes drunkenness. But even small quantity of pure ethanol, that means 100% ethanol without adding any water, that may cause death also. That can be lethal. Lethal means may cause death also. That 100% ethanol is called absolute alcohol. Now this consumption of ethanol causes the many health problems that we are going to discuss in this lesson later. So let us see the reactions of ethanol. We are going to learn two reactions. One is reaction of ethanol with sodium. Another one, reaction to give unsaturated hydrocarbon. So how does ethanol react with sodium and how it react to give an unsaturated hydrocarbon? First one is reaction with sodium. Let us see an activity. How sodium reacts with ethanol.
Do you know what will happen when ethanol reacts with sodium? Let's study this through an activity. We have taken ethanol and sodium. Take a piece of sodium stored in kerosene using tongs and drop it in a beaker containing ethanol. What will you observe? You observe that sodium melts down in a solution with release of hydrogen gas. From this activity, we conclude that when ethanol reacts with sodium, it releases hydrogen gas and produces sodium ethoxide.
So we have seen in this reaction, ethanol reacts with sodium to give sodium ethoxide and hydrogen. How can we test the gas produced is hydrogen? Here is a test for hydrogen. Bring a burning lighted splint or a lighted candle to the mouth of the test tube in which the hydrogen gas is produced. If the gas produced is hydrogen, it will burn with a pop sound because the hydrogen gas is self-combustible. So if the gas is burning with a pop sound, we can understand, we can identify that the gas produced is hydrogen. Now let us see the reaction of ethanol with sodium. What is the chemical equation of that? So you know, ethane molecular formula is C2H6. In that, one hydrogen is replaced by OH group, that is the ethanol. So its formula is C2H5OH. When this is reacting with sodium, what is happening here? The hydrogen, already you have learned the functional group, the properties of a chemical compound in which a functional group is present. For example, alcohol, aldehydes, carboxylic acid, all these, their chemical properties decided by the functional group, not by the carbon and hydrogen. So here the chemical property of this ethanol is decided by the OH group, not by the C2H5 group. So here what is happening? When it is reacting with sodium, the hydrogen in the OH group is replaced by sodium. So in the place of hydrogen, sodium occupy. So what will get? C2H5ONa. That is called sodium ethoxide, and hydrogen gas is produced. So you can see here O minus and Na plus. That means this compound will ionize in such a way that C2H5O minus and Na plus ions. The C2H5O minus is called ethoxide ion and Na plus is the sodium ion, you know. If this equation, when you are writing this minus and plus, if you are not writing also, it is okay. C2H5ONa you can write without the charges also. That also correct. So what is the equation and why we have written here 2 here? Only to balance the equation. So the equation of reactions of sodium with the ethanol is 2C2H5OH plus 2Na gives 2C2H5ONa plus H2. C2H5ONa is the sodium ethoxide. So ethanol reacts with sodium. What are the products obtained? Hydrogen gas along with the formation of sodium ethoxide. So alcohols react with sodium leading to the evolution of hydrogen. So any alcohol, we have learnt already. If you are learning one compound in a homologous series, that is applicable for all the members of that homologous series, because all the members of homologous series is having the same chemical properties. So we are learning the reactions of ethanol. It is applicable to the reactions of all the other alcohols like methanol, propanol, butanol, etc. Because all these members are having same chemical properties. So generally we can tell alcohols react with sodium leading to the evolution of hydrogen. So when ethanol is reacting along with hydrogen, what is the other product we are getting? Sodium ethoxide. Next we learn the reaction of ethanol to give unsaturated hydrocarbon. Let us see this reaction. So how this reaction is carried out? Ethanol is heated with excess of concentrated sulfuric acid at 443 Kelvin. Then what are the products we are getting? During this reaction, dehydration of ethanol takes place. Dehydration means water is removed and we are getting ethane. Let us see the equation. So here ethanol CH3CH2OH. C2H5OH we can write like this also with the bonds CH3CH2OH. It is reacting heated with concentrated sulfuric acid to form ethene and water. Let us see how this reaction takes place. So here this ethanol we can write the structure of ethanol, already you know how to write. CH3, C is bonded to 3 hydrogen and this C is bonded to 2 hydrogen, 1 OH group. This OH we can write here or here or here anywhere. So easy to understand this reaction, how it takes place, it is written here. So how the reaction takes place? When it is heated with concentrated sulfur. When it is reacted with concentrated sulfuric acid, what is happening here? Hydrogen, this hydrogen which is attached to this carbon and this OH group which is attached to the other carbon. This H and OH is eliminated as water. So here already in addition reaction you have seen double bond, unsaturated compound in which a double bond is there. When any substance is added there, the double bond will become single bond. That means unsaturated bond substance will become the saturated one. So that addition, something is added there. Here something is eliminated. So here H and OH is eliminated as water. Single bond will become the double bond. So we'll get CH2 double bond CH2. That is the ethene. This HOH is the water. So here ethanol, when it is heated with hot concentrated sulfuric acid, what is happening here? H and OH is eliminated as water and this double bond will become, single bond will become the double bond. So ethanol when heated with concentrated sulfuric acid, we are getting the product ethene and water. So let us see what is the role of sulfuric acid here. It is removing the water from this compound. Say substance which remove the water from a compound, that is called a dehydrating agent. So the function of concentrated sulfuric acid here, it is acting as a dehydrating agent. The concentrated sulfuric acid can be regarded as a dehydrating agent which removes water from ethanol. So we have seen now the reaction of ethanol with concentrated sulfuric acid. What is happening? Ethanol is converted to ethene and water is eliminated. And what is the function of concentrated sulfuric acid here? It is acting as a dehydrating agent because it removes water from ethanol. So we have learned two reactions of ethanol. How does ethanol react with sodium, metal, and another one, how it gives an unsaturated compound. Next, we are going to learn how do alcohols affect living beings. When large quantities of ethanol are consumed, it tends to slow metabolic processes and to depress the central nervous system. This results in lack of coordination, mental confusion, drowsiness, lowering of the normal inhibitions, and finally stupor. Stupor means one amazed state. You might have seen those people, those are consuming uh, alcohol. They will not have the consciousness. The individual may feel relaxed but does not realize that his sense of judgment, sense of timing, and muscular coordination have been seriously impaired. So let us see, how does the alcohol attack the brain? First, it affects the forebrain and as well as motor coordination and decision making. Next, it attacks the midbrain. What happens? Loss of control over emotions and increases chances of a blackout. Blackout means temporary loss of consciousness. Next, it affects the finally alcohol batters the brain system as it affects the heart rate, body temperature, appetite, and consciousness. A dangerous and potentially fatal condition. Fatal condition means it may cause to death also. Next, how do alcohol affect living beings? Let us continue the topic. Unlike ethanol, intake of methanol is in very small quantities can cause death. So I told already what the people are using for consuming that alcohol is the ethanol. And methanol is poisonous. So methanol in very small quantities also if it is consumed that may lead to death. So how it will affect the death? What is the reaction taking place? Let us see. Methanol is oxidized to methanol in the liver. Already you have seen alcohols when they oxidize it is converted to the carboxylic acid. Ethanol reaction already you have seen oxidation reaction of the carbon compounds. So alcohol first it is converting to aldehyde, then it is converting to the carboxylic acid. The final product is the carboxylic acid. So here methanol, it is when partially it is oxidized, what is produced? Methanol, that means an aldehyde is produced in the liver. This methanol reacts rapidly with the components of the cells. It causes the protoplasm to get coagulated in much the same way an egg is coagulated by cooking. You know, egg, that white, that egg is in a semi-solid system state. When it is cooked, what will happen? It thickens. The same way, this methanol, if it is consumed, it is oxidized into methanol in the liver. Methanol, how does it affect the cells? The protoplasm in the cell, it is getting coagulated, it thickens. Methanol also affects the optic nerve, causing the blindness. Now, ethanol is an important industrial solvent. To prevent the misuse of ethanol produced for industrial use, it is made unfit for drinking by adding poisonous substances like methanol to it. Dyes are also added to color the alcohol blue so that it can be identified easily. So ethanol can be used in industries. We have seen already. It is used to make the uh, many solvents for paints, varnishes, all this. It is used. So industrial purpose when it is using, that should not be used for drinking purpose. For that what is done? It is mixed with a small quantity of methanol. Methanol is poisonous, we have seen. So this making this ethanol unfit for drinking by adding the poisonous substances like methanol, that is called denatured alcohol. So what is denatured alcohol? The ethanol which is mixed with methanol, which is a poisonous substance, to make it unfit for drinking. That is called denatured alcohol. Next, let us see alcohol as a fuel. Sugarcane plants are one of the most efficient converters of sunlight into chemical energy. The sugarcane juice can be used to prepare molasses, which is fermented to give alcohol, ethanol. So you know how the sugarcane is produced. Sugar is produced. Sugar is produced from sugarcane in the factory. So first the juice is taken from the sugarcane, and many steps are there in the production of sugar from sugarcane. In one of the step, the sugarcane juice is made concentrated, made thickened. A thick liquid is produced. From that, it is the final step of the preparation. It is the crystallization of the sugar, solid sugar from the sugarcane juice. So all the sugar will not be crystallized. Something will be left over there after the crystallization. That liquid which left over during the after the crystallization of the sugar from sugarcane, that is called molasses. From this molasses only what is produced? Ethanol is produced. So that process is called fermentation. So actually fermentation means that is a decomposition of organic matter using some microorganisms. So yeast is added during this fermentation process from when we are producing ethanol from molasses. So usually all the sugar factories, there will be an alcohol producing unit also will be present in the sugar factories, because otherwise this molasses is a waste. It will be wasted. So from this molasses what can be prepared? Alcohol can be prepared. Now, some countries now use alcohol as an additive in petrol, since it is a cleaner fuel which gives rise to only carbon dioxide and water on burning in sufficient air. So we know coal or petroleum, when it is burnt, what is happening? It causes the pollution. Already we have seen this coal or petroleum is having some nitrogen or sulfur content also present in that. So when it oxidizes, their oxides of sulfur or nitrogen is produced. These are the pollutants. But this alcohol, when it is burnt, ethanol, when it undergo combustion, what is produced? Only carbon dioxide and water, which does not causes the So this consumption of ethanol as a fuel, it reduces the pollution. So we have learnt in this lesson properties of ethanol. And what are the properties? It is a liquid and it is used as a solvent for some medicines like tincture, iodine, cough syrup, tonics, etc. Then we learned the reactions of ethanol. In reactions, we have learned two reactions. How does it react with sodium and how it give an unsaturated hydrocarbon. So when ethanol reacts with sodium, what are the products? Hydrogen gas is liberated along with the formation of sodium ethoxide. Then how it give the unsaturated hydrocarbon? When ethanol is heated with concentrated sulfuric acid, water is eliminated from ethanol and what is formed there? Ethene, that is an unsaturated hydrocarbon is formed. What is the role of sulfuric acid here? It is acting as a dehydrating agent. What is meant by a dehydrating agent? Which removes water from the compounds. So in this reaction, concentrated sulfuric acid is acting as a dehydrating agent. Then we learn how do alcohol affect living beings, how it causes the health problem, how it affects the metabolic system, consciousness, all this we have learned. Then we learn alcohol as a fuel. Hope you understood today's class. Thank you, children.